He stopped to offer spare change. But when she whispered her name, his world shattered. What happened next left the entire street speechless. It was just another high-powered afternoon for Karan Malhotra, the billionaire CEO of a global real estate empire. As usual, his convoy slowed near the old market stretch, the same street he had crossed 1,000 times, eyes on his phone, never noticing the world outside the tinted glass. But that day, his car stalled briefly near a construction zone, and for the first time in years. Karan looked out. Just beside the traffic signal, curled up beneath a broken shelter of cardboard and plastic, sat a homeless woman. Her clothes were torn, her face partially hidden beneath a faded shawl, her fingers trembling as she scribbled something with a dull pencil on a worn-out piece of paper. No one looked at her. No one stopped. But something made Karan open his door. "Wait," he told his driver. He walked up to her, unsure why. Maybe it was guilt, or something deeper he didn't understand yet. He knelt, gently tapping the edge of her mat. "Ma'am, are you okay? What's your name?" She looked up slowly. And then it happened. Karan froze. His breath hitched. His world spun. Because beneath the dirt and tangled hair were those eyes. Eyes he knew like his own reflection. She stared back, her lips trembling. And then she whispered, barely audible, "It's Anaya." Karan's knees gave in. He dropped to the ground, staring at her in disbelief. Anaya, his childhood best friend, his first love, the girl who disappeared after college and was never heard from again. Karan sat frozen on the pavement, staring into the broken eyes of the girl he had once promised the world to. The Anaya he knew had been full of fire, brilliant, kind, and fearless. Now she looked like a shadow of that girl, and yet those same eyes still held the weight of everything they'd once shared. "Anaya," he whispered. "Where did you go? I looked for you. I tried everything." She gave a faint, weary smile. "You looked in the world I no longer belonged to, Karan." Tears welled in his eyes. "I thought you left, that you moved on." She shook her head slowly, her voice hoarse but steady. "After college, my father passed suddenly. I had no money for the funeral. My relatives shut their doors. I tried to survive, took odd jobs, lived in shelters. Then came the accident." "Accident?" She nodded. "I was hit by a drunk driver, lost everything. My memory for months, my ID, my home. By the time I could remember who I was, you were a billionaire, and I was no one." Karan's hands clenched into fists. "You were never no one." "I didn't want you to see me like this," she said, tears now slipping freely. "I had nothing left to give you." He looked at her, his heart breaking all over again. "You gave me everything when I had nothing. You believed in me when no one else did. You saved me from drowning in loneliness, and I didn't even know you were out here. Alone." She tried to look away, but he gently cupped her face, ignoring the stares from the street, the whispers, the traffic, the flashing cameras. "I don't care about the money, or the dirt, or the years lost. I only care that you're alive." And in that moment, under the scorching afternoon sun, Karan Malhotra, one of the richest men in the country, sat in the dirt beside a homeless woman, who still owned the part of his heart that fortune could never touch. Karan didn't leave her side that day. Ignoring the guards and cameras flashing in the distance, he wrapped his coat around Anaya's shoulders and helped her into his car. She hesitated, holding back, unsure if she belonged in the luxury leather seat. But he looked at her and said gently, "Where you belong is with me." She didn't argue. At his private estate, doctors and caregivers rushed to attend to her, but Karan made one thing clear. "Treat her like royalty. She's not a patient. She's my past. And my future. Anaya stayed quiet at first, overwhelmed by the space, the warmth, the softness of the bed that didn't creak under her weight. But slowly, with Karen's presence, she began to thaw. He sat beside her every evening, showing her old photos, her college poems he had saved, even a bracelet she once gave him, still tucked away in his drawer after all these years. I never moved on, he confessed. I thought I had. I built empires, bought towers, crossed oceans, but I never felt home again. She wiped a tear, smiling weakly. You're still the same boy who believed in miracles. No, he said, taking her hand. You're the miracle. Weeks passed. Her body healed, but more than that, her spirit began to glow again. The spark he remembered started to return. He encouraged her to write again, dream again. And she did. One morning, she handed him a notebook. Inside were pages of memories, letters she wrote but never sent, even a drawing of him, smiling, just like he used to in college. Why did you keep all of this? He asked, flipping through, stunned. I never let go, she whispered, even when the world did. Karan realized something in that moment. It wasn't just about bringing her back to life. She was bringing him back too. 6 months later, the world witnessed a moment it would never forget. Paparazzi flooded the press conference, expecting another business expansion announcement from Karan Malhotra. But when he stepped onto the stage, he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Anaya, elegant in a soft sari, hair neatly pinned, eyes glowing with quiet grace. The audience gasped. Whispers spread like wildfire. Is that the homeless woman he was seen with? Karan raised his hand to silence the room. I'm not here today to announce a business deal, he began. I'm here to tell a story. A story about a woman who once fed me from her lunchbox when I was broke, who stayed up with me during exams, who disappeared, and whose absence I felt more deeply than all the success in the world. He turned to Anaya. When I found her again, I found myself. The room fell silent. Then he pulled out a small velvet box. I don't care about the past. I don't care about how many years we lost. I care about every second from this moment forward. He got down on one knee, again, in front of the world. For all the time I didn't get to be by your side, will you let me start now? Will you marry me? Tears streamed down Anaya's face. She nodded, unable to speak. He stood and hugged her tightly, their story unfolding not behind curtains, but in front of the very world that once would have judged her, from a sidewalk to a stage, from broken to whole, from forgotten to forever. Weeks later, magazines read, Homeless woman who once vanished returns as billionaire's bride. The proposal that brought a billionaire to his knees. But none of that mattered to them. They had nothing when they met. They found everything when they reunited. Because some names aren't just names, they're home.